Welcome to Making a Webcomic, Part 1. In this program, we're going to go over how you can take your sketches and turn them into inked, coloured digital content. So let's go over some of the tools that you'll need to get started. Let's start with the drawing tablet. If you don't know what that is, it's a device that you can plug into your computer that pairs with a pen stylus to let you draw digitally. Here at the library, we have Wacom tablets that you can borrow to use with your home computer. Installing is really simple. You just download the drivers to your computer. But let's not get bogged down with that. If you borrow one of our tablets, there'll be instructions in the bag for you to follow. The next big thing you'll need is a graphics program. And in this course, we're going to be using a program called Krita. It's a free, professional, open source painting program. It's available on Mac and PC, and all you need to do is download it. You'll find handy links to the Krita website in the information section of this video. Krita is a great alternative to Photoshop. You can use it to create concept art, illustration, and comics. It also handles a wide variety of file types and provides you with an awesome set of brushes right off the bat. And of course, the last thing you'll need is your own artwork. Getting your sketches into Krita is a simple matter of scanning them in. And if you don't have access to a scanner, you can come in and ask us to scan them for you. We can scan your sketches and send them straight to your email. But for this program, we're supplying you with a super cute cat comic to work on. It's a really simple 3-panel comic just to help you learn the basics. You'll find a link to the sketch file in the information section. Okay, let's get started making our comic. Now there are 3 main steps to creating your webcomic, and these are going to be inking your sketch, adding flat color to your line art, and then rendering your flat colors. So in this video, we're going to start with inking. So the first thing we're going to want to do is open up the file that we've provided for you. So we'll go up here to the little folder icon, and then you're going to go ahead and navigate to wherever you've saved that file. I've named that file Grug because that's what I've named the cat. Now when you open your file, you'll find that it probably comes up at a default size, so you can use the magnifying glass tool and the hand tool to position the page just how you like it. Now after that, the first thing we're going to want to do is just minimize this brush menu so that we can make a new layer by clicking on the plus sign. So let's select that layer 1 and then let's rename it Sketch. And then with layer 4, we're going to rename that Inks. And then with the sketch layer, let's just go ahead and drop the opacity down to somewhere around 50%. And then we're going to want to add a new layer. Drag that underneath your sketch layer. And we're going to call that White BG because that's going to be our white background. To color it white, we're going to use the color picker, select white, and then we're going to select the whole canvas by pressing Ctrl A. And then we're going to flood fill that whole canvas by pressing Shift and Backspace. And this is going to give us a nice white background underneath our sketch layer. Then we're going to click on the ink layer, select black from the color picker, and we're going to go over here and select the paintbrush tool. And then we're going to go over here and we're going to pull up the tool menu. And this is just a big box of all the different paintbrushes that you can select. The one we want to pick is going to be this one right here, and it's called Ink 3G pen. And this is just a pretty standard sort of ink pen. So click on that, and it'll come up at the default size, which is going to be around 5 pixels, which is maybe a little bit too thin. So we're going to go ahead and probably push the size up to somewhere around 20. That looks pretty good. And you'll see that using the tablet gives you pressure sensitivity. So the harder you press, the thicker the pen line will become. Now let's talk about this little tool options box. These are some options for how to control your pen. So these tool options are all about the smoothing. You have basic smoothing, weighted smoothing, and the stabilizer. There's not a lot of difference between basic and weighted, so what we're going to use mostly is going to be weighted and stabilizer. And what this does is just helps to smooth out the lines. So the weighted pen will act more like a real pen, but the stabilizer will really help smooth out your lines. And you'll find you'll want to switch between the two of these because some lines you'll want to draw quickly and fast with the weighted pen. Other lines you'll want to follow along carefully, and so you'll want those lines to be very, very stable. So we'll use the stabilizer for those lines. Now adjusting the delay is going to make your brush smoother but also slower. Now, which option you use really depends on how you draw. So this is going to be a case of having a play around and seeing what feels best. And remember, you can always hit Ctrl-Z to undo. So let's go ahead and start inking in our drawing. And we're going to start off with the stabilizer, and we're just going to carefully follow along the lines. And we're not going to worry too much if it's not perfect because what we want is for it to look hand-drawn. We want it to have that natural artistic look to it. It should look like a sketch. And you'll find that maybe you want to do the little bits of food using the weighted brush. And then maybe you want to do the background lines in the stabilized brush. It really comes down to personal preference. But just remember, if you make a mistake, you can always press Ctrl-Z to undo what you've just done. And you're just going to go through and you want to pick out the most important lines from your sketch. And you can also add in new details, anything that you might have forgotten to draw in your sketch. Now's a really great time to add those details in. And don't worry if you make a line and you don't like it and you undo it. Sometimes you end up redrawing the foot 5 times before you get it just right. And don't forget, you can always use that Ctrl-Z to undo and redo a section until you get it just how you want. So I'm going to go ahead and just speed up the footage, and you can take as much time as you want, pause this video, go back and look over things again just to familiarize yourself. And don't worry about being too perfect. Like I said, you want it to look hand-drawn. And really, this is just learning the skills to be able to tackle your own art. So just have fun with it. And don't worry if you go outside of the lines of the panel boxes, because you can go back in and fix those up later. So now that we've got the sketch inked up, we're going to go back into the brush tool menu and we're going to select the eraser tool. And then I'm just going to go around and erase any little bits that have gone outside of the lines or that I don't really like. And don't forget to turn your sketch layer off every once in a while, just so that you can have a look and see how your inks are coming along. And then we're going to add the panel boxes. So I'm going to go ahead and make a new layer. And I'm going to go back and select my ink brush tool. And then I'm going to change the size to about 26. And I think I'm going to have the stabilizer on for this because I want those lines to be nice and straight. And then I'm just going to carefully follow along around the boxes. And again, I'm not going to worry if they look drawn because I want them to look hand-drawn. But you can start drawing them in a different place. And that just varies the line thickness. So sometimes you'll have thick corners, sometimes you'll have thin corners. So don't always start drawing in the same place. Once we've done that, we can turn off our sketch layer, and there we have it. Nice, clean inks on a transparent layer. And at this point, you can go back in, add any extra lines that you might like, remove some extra lines. I'm just adding some fur just to give it a little bit more fuzzy appeal. And then you're done. And in the next video, we're going to go over how to lay in some flat colors and do some simple rendering. Have fun, guys!